first amniotes evolved from tetrapod ancestors by the early Carboniferous period. And these amniotes would be the ancestors of reptiles, birds, and mammals today. The earliest amniotes lacked an opening in the temporal region of the skull, a temporal fenestra, and they are called anapsids. The anapsids are the ancestral reptiles from which the synapsids with one opening and the diapsids with two openings would evolve. Anatomically, it seems that the first turtles were modified anapsids, which would mean that they would be the only living group of anapsids today. Molecular studies, however, place turtles within the diapsids, and so their classification is being debated. By the late Carboniferous period, the anapsid ancestral reptiles had evolved into a lineage which had two temporal openings and are called the diapsids. Diapsids can be divided into two main groups: the lepidosaurs, which have overlapping scales, and thus they tend to shed their skin with scales in a group and possess a more sprawling gait. These lepidosaurs would include a number of fossil groups. One fossil group, the rhynchosaurs, was quite diverse in the Mesozoic, but is survived today only by two species of Tuatara, which live on the island of New Zealand. The lepidosaurs are best known for the lizards, which evolved either in the Permian or in the Triassic period, and diversified to be the most species-rich group of reptiles alive today. From the lizards evolved two other groups, the worm lizards, which are largely legless, and the snakes by the Cretaceous period. And so 90% of the reptiles alive today are the descendants of lizards. And the lizards, snakes, worm lizards, and Tuatara, these are lepidosaur diapsids. Another clade of diapsid reptiles evolved, the ARCHOSAURS, or ruling reptiles, which possessed new openings in the skull, one in front of the orbit, the antorbital fenestra, one in the lower jaw, and modified their legs for a more upright stance. These archosaurs would become the dominant reptiles in the Triassic period with a number of groups: the Rauisuchians, the crocodile-like phytosaurs, the first crocodiles which evolved in the Triassic period, the first vertebrates to fly, the pterosaurs, which produced both the smaller rhamphorhynchids, which flap their wings, and then the later larger pterodactyls, which relied more on soaring. And then by the mid-Triassic, another archosaur group had evolved, the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs can be split into two groups: the saurischian or lizard-hipped groups, which includes the meat-eating theropods and the long-necked sauropods, and the ornithischians or bird-hipped groups, which include the armored dinosaurs, horned dinosaurs, hadrosaurs, and others. From the theropod dinosaurs evolved the first birds, and so birds are the descendants of dinosaurs, and thus, along with crocodiles, are the only surviving archosaurs today. From ancestral anapsid reptiles evolved a group which had one temporal opening, the synapsid opening. The earliest group, the pelycosaurs, evolved into the therapsids, which evolved into the cynodonts, which by the middle to late Triassic period evolved into the first mammals. And after the extinction of the dinosaurs at the end of the Mesozoic, mammals diversified greatly. And so thus, while mammals and birds are not typically considered reptiles, they are just as descended from ancestral reptiles, as would be turtles, crocodiles, lizards, or snakes.